Hey there, Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security and the Law Practice of Joy Disability. Here's a short little segment from our recent live stream Q&A that we have every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel, All Things Social Security. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I will be sure to get to them. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.
DT Holmes says he or she was initially on a 3-year diary. Under 50. Okay, so medical improvement expected. Did you say you were? I don't know if you said your age. And I'll just throw it out there, guys. If there's a way you can keep your date less insured, particularly for you under 50 people or early 50s people, keep your date less insured in your future by doing a little bit of part-time work, even if it's gigger work or, knitting hats. As long as it's not SGA. Sorry, there's some dust all over. Applied from the fan. I'm gonna need to do a little dusting thing. If you can, it can be the difference between getting disability benefits for the next 15, 17 years or not. Just by doing that little bit, keeping your DLI ahead of you. People sometimes work with flea market. They sit and they're like, they get paid a tiny amount by their buddy to babysit the tent. But they report it and they pay taxes on it. They don't write it off and they don't put it under the table. And now they are, their job is, I don't know what we call it. Guarding the flea market tent for the flea market person, you're probably a 1099, but that's what you want to do. You want to be either a 1099 or you record it and you say what you do. You could, I know people who have done that job for various vendors in flea markets. And they don't get a 1099 because the vendors aren't, probably even doing it. But they will record it and they will keep a book and they report it. And next thing you know, they've got $9,000 for the year and they're not writing it off for gas, mileage. And now they have got all 4 quarters that year for a job that easy. It takes very little. It's got to be creative. I always digress onto that, guys, because it breaks my heart when I see someone's DLI in the past because the case becomes that much harder. Willie Christian Vet is in the house. Aw, Holy Bible. Nice to see you. I have my law judge day on 5/19. Oh, fingers crossed for you and prayers for you. For sure, Willie. When I saw vet, I was like, is he a veterinarian? Or, since we have so many animals here, or is he a veteran? In which case, thank you for your service also, Willie. I owe everything to you, for sure. Mr. Pet's mom says, he helped when my appeal case took forever to be assigned. Is this the rep? The state rep? It wasn't long after I contacted him that I got a letter stating my case. Okay. Yeah, it's probably true. They probably listen to those guys too. I don't think legally they're in the same jurisdiction, but it's all politics, right? DT Holmes, that's how I know MRN to stand for medical record number. You see that in hospital records all the time. Even on the SSA form, well, it says patient ID number, I think it might say MRN number. People don't know it. It doesn't matter. They don't have to go searching for it. It's not important. It's not going to be what the SSA needs to get the records. They just like it, I guess, as extra confirmation. But yeah, that's what I'm familiar with it for too. Medical record number with a provider. But, it was said here that MRN, what is it with regard to diary? And then my little quickie search said it refers to that. But I didn't look at the underlying citation. So I can't say, for sure that that's reasonable. A reasonable conclusion yet. Nino says, I also had C6, C7 fusion, plus I had shoulder surgery in 2010. Wow. And was found 20% disabled from workers' compensation with that fact. I would put definitely the shoulder surgery, even though it's old, if it's not 100%, if your shoulder does not act like you could use it in an 8-hour day, doing a lifting job, warehouse, that kind of thing, start following for it. It bothers you when you do this or you do this 20 times, go to an orthopedist, start working up that shoulder, find out where it's at now, and now you'll have current proof that there's an impairment, that it's not 100%, even though it'll be 100% if you don't get the current treatment records, diagnostics, maybe a little PT, that kind of thing. You don't have to go crazy, but you want that in there as a current impairment that limits you. Because remember, shoulders have to do with the exertionals. And I think you said, did you say you were 54, Nino? You have to prove that you can't lift up to 20 pounds, at least occasionally during the day. And a shoulder can help you do that. Sometimes they'll still say you can lift that much, but between that and maybe the neck, because you have that combined with the C6, C7 fusion. If you're complaining about the neck, complaining about the shoulder, finding the damage now through current objective medical evidence, I think that's going to really boost your case, because you need to get down to that. I think you were the 54-year-old sedentary to get in that grids, and then you got to worry about the rest. But I think you did. Were you the heavy equipment operator? That's arduous work. So that would probably not be the biggest struggle to defeat the part about not being able to do the prior work. And the doctor says, okay, so this part, Nino, my doctor said I have degenerative disc disease, DGD. So does everybody probably over the age of 35, 40. So that diagnosis itself is not really a major thing. One could say, well, I can't do heavy work. Okay, great. There's still a million other jobs. I'm saying a million loosely because we don't have a million jobs. But the DDD, you got to get more in the weeds with that. The surgeries, the post-surgery, what is the effect now? And it's got to be current, robust treatment. It's got to be complaints worthy of treating for, basically. All right? Even though I'm not saying they can't cure your DDD. And so a lot of people don't go for treatment because of that, and that's a huge mistake for your case. Do things for the sake of the evidence. I wouldn't go to the doctor and say that. In fact, I wouldn't even tell them that you have a claim. Don't share that information. Loose lips, sink ships. But for sure, that stuff can really help you if you work it up. Kosher says, hi, gives a DI section, completing item 17 diary on the 831 MRN is used for both possible. Yeah, so I guess my little research, my little quickie was right. Yep, possible and expected. And expected is worse than possible, is the way I would look at it. Yeah, I wonder why they use those letters. What do you think, Kosher? MRP for not expected versus MRN. MR. I just want to know what the MR is. Ooh, hey, how about this? MR. Medical improvement? No, that would be an MR. Medical. All right, I'll have to think about that one. I'm curious about what it stands for. Aren't you? Willie says, yep, 519, you'll be 63. It's a good age. Good age. I'm right behind you, Willie. A few years, not much. DT says, I've been on SSDI since 2021, now 40. So you were young. You were young. I'm sorry that happened to you so young, DT. Yeah, you're a veteran. God bless you there, really. Gator's in the house. Bro, is that a real parrot? Bro, it is. That's Tasha. Say hi, Tasha. Hi. Hello. You say hello? She's stretching. Okay. Yeah, that's a real parrot. She's a super honey. Thank you, Gator. Polly wants a cracker. She probably does want a cracker. I don't have any with me. It's like, cracker? Mr. Pett says, hopefully I'll have better news next week. Fingers crossed for you. We're all gunning for you. PT Home says CFS as primary 14-1 and anxiety, depression, secondary combination impairments. Original ALJ was light RSC, but the off task is what helped award back in 2020. Yeah, and that's why those cases are so hard. But if you can get really, really strong evidence, and if you have providers, I always say that it's, the CFS literate providers are not always easy to find. And they're not in every town or even every region, maybe. So I always say to someone, you need your local doctors, but if you can get a specialist who's renowned for, being literate in the particular unusual, where there's not a lot of literacy amongst the doctors area, even if you do telehealth visits and send your, you can order blood work, you get it done out by you and it gets sent to him. Having that extra opinion in there, because I feel like they're the ones that are going to be more likely to talk about how much you have to nap and talk about how, brain foggy you get and all that. So, because you really want it. You don't just want medical records at every visit. It just says the diagnosis without the ongoing symptomology. I think, yeah. So if you've kept up with that, I don't see why you would have a problem, with a CDR. Are we talking about? Willie says MRN, medical record number. Yeah, in one context, Willie, but apparently not in some general way with diary dates. I mean, we're used to MIE, MIP, mine. But apparently there's some broader acronym. I don't think we need to care about it, but if someone tells you that, you need to know what it is. DG says, which kind of documentation is helpful from going forward and getting functional RFC limitations in visit notes without sounding scripted? Seems like a challenge. Well, and doctors vary in their competencies with this, I think. If you tell your doctor at every visit, and even in between visits, let's say you have a particular week where you're sleeping more than usual, say, or, on the couch, whatever you do. And let's say it's notably more that week. It's a great opportunity to, if it's a portal, do it through the portal. If not, do a fax your doctor and say, hey, Dr. Jones, I know my appointment's not for another 8 weeks, but I just have to tell you that, my system's being so bad. I actually had a much worse week than even usual, which is hard to beat. Normally if I'm, have to lie down 50% of the day, now it was like almost 90%. I do feel better now. I'm kind of back up to nearly the 50%, being able to get up and about. But also my nighttime sleep is still at 15 hours a night and still, needing all this rest during the day. But I just wanted to let you know about the decompensation or whatever words you want to use. Sometimes it's just ways of getting that stuff in there, and then it can be discussed at your next visit, because it's not as scripted, because you actually told it to him in real time when it was concerning, as opposed to just from memory when you're there. My hair is flipping in my face as usual. Okay. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge. But it comes from you. Now, and if he's in a portal too, if you guys have a portal where you can pre-register for your visit, so you don't have to go to the reception and stuff. And there's usually a slew of questions. Do you have these symptoms, these symptoms, these? That's not as powerful as probably you saying it to the doctor or sending him a letter. And when I say a letter, I don't mean a big where he doesn't want to read it. I mean it to be quick, boom, boom, boom. That's the next best thing, I guess. Pre-registering, and if it narratively says, "What are you here for?" I've had a exacerbation of fatigue and sleep needs. Want to discuss with doctor. Just little ways of, making sure it's clear. Then more times is probably better than less times.